I never thought I'd be the one sharing a story like this. I've always lived a simple life, working with my hands in the garden, watching things grow, and never giving much thought to what happens after death. Heaven, hell, God. Those were just ideas other people talked about. I never hated the thought of them, but I didn't believe in them either. Life to me was all about what you could see, touch, and smell. I never imagined that one day I would see a reality far beyond anything this world could hold. A reality that would shake me to my very soul. Before I go on, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had an experience that made you stop and wonder if there's more to life than what we see? Or maybe you've had a dream or a moment that felt otherworldly. Share it in the comments. I read them and your stories matter. And if you'd like to hear more testimonies like this, please subscribe so we can walk through these journeys together. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. I was planting flowers for a client, thinking about nothing more than the heat of the sun and how the soil felt between my fingers. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my chest, so strong it felt like my heart was being crushed from the inside. My hands froze. My knees gave way. The sound of the world faded into a dull hum and I collapsed. Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't lying in the dirt anymore. I was standing, or floating, above my own body. I could see myself on the ground, still as stone. A strange mix of confusion and disbelief washed over me. I thought I was dreaming. I called out, but no sound came from my mouth. The more I realized what was happening, the heavier the air around me became, as if something unseen was drawing near. That's when it happened. Something, I don't know what at first, gripped me, pulling me downward. The world I knew faded away, replaced by a suffocating darkness. It wasn't the darkness of night or a closed room. It was alive, pressing in, swallowing every bit of light and hope. And I wasn't alone in it. In that darkness, I felt movement all around me, shadows shifting, shapes I couldn't fully see, but I could feel them. There was a heaviness in the air, almost like the atmosphere itself carried pain. At first, I tried to fight against the pull, but the more I struggled, the faster I sank. My body wasn't there, yet I could feel everything, every brush of cold air, every wave of dread. Soon, faint cries began to echo from somewhere deep below. They weren't just sounds, they were filled with despair so raw it pierced through me. I remember thinking, this can't be real. There's no such place. I must be imagining this. But the deeper I went, the more undeniable it became. Then, through the darkness, a faint glow appeared far below. Not a warm glow, but a burning, angry light. The closer I came, the louder the cries grew. When I finally reached the bottom, I saw things my mind could barely process. It was a vast, endless pit, and within it, countless souls, people, suffering in ways no words could fully explain. Some cried for mercy, others screamed in rage, and some sat in silence with empty eyes, as though all hope had left them long ago. I saw shapes moving among them, creatures that looked like twisted shadows of life, with eyes that burned like fire and forms that shifted as they moved. They didn't just torment these souls, they seemed to feed on their despair. One of them passed near me, and though I didn't think I could be touched in that state, I felt its presence enter into me like ice through my very core. As I looked around, I began to notice patterns. The people here weren't all the same. Some bore marks of the lives they had lived. A man who once wore fine clothes but now clutched at rags, his face twisted with greed even in this place. Another looked like a leader, wearing the faded image of a crown, but his eyes were filled with the same corruption I could almost feel pouring from him. It struck me then, this wasn't just a place of punishment. It was a mirror of the soul. Each person's suffering seemed tied to the very things they clung to in life. Their lies, their cruelty, their selfishness. Here there was no pretending, no hiding behind masks. The air itself seemed to whisper hopelessness, and I felt it creeping into me too. I began to wonder if I would be stuck here forever, forgotten, lost. And as I stood there, I felt something even more terrifying. The sense that this place knew me, knew every wrong thing I'd ever done, every selfish thought I'd buried away. That was when I heard movement behind me, and what I saw next shook me in a way I'll never forget. I turned, and from the darkness, figures began to emerge, not just the twisted creatures but faces I somehow recognized. Some were faint, like memories, but others were clear as day. I saw people I had once known, some from my younger years, others from work or the neighborhood. Their eyes locked on mine with a haunting emptiness, as if silently saying, "You're one of us now." The weight in my chest grew heavier. I remembered how I had always brushed off talk about the afterlife. I had laughed with others about scary religious stories, telling myself they were just ways to control people. But here I was, standing in the very place I claimed could never exist. Then something began to happen that I still can't fully explain. The darkness seemed to draw closer around me, almost like it wanted to swallow me whole. A sharp, invisible force gripped me, pulling me deeper into the crowd of souls. I could hear voices, not just the cries of others but whispers aimed directly at me. They told me I was worthless, that no one would remember me, that my life had been wasted. I felt the truth in their accusations because I knew how many times I had chosen myself over others, how often I had ignored people in need when I could have helped. In that moment I felt completely stripped bare. All the little excuses I had made in life, they meant nothing here. I couldn't say I was too busy or it wasn't my fault. Here the truth stood alone and there was no place to hide from it. The torment wasn't just around me, it was inside me. The hopelessness began to sink so deep that I could barely remember what light felt like. I thought about my life and realized I had never once seriously spoken to God. Never thanked Him. Never asked Him to guide me. I had lived as though I were the only one who mattered. And here, in this pit, I felt the full weight of that choice. Then something strange happened. Through all the chaos, a memory flickered in my mind, so small, yet so clear. I saw myself years ago giving a sandwich to a homeless man. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, but here, that moment glowed faintly inside me, like a spark in the darkness. More memories began to surface. Helping a neighbor carry groceries, listening to an elderly woman tell her stories, planting flowers for someone without charging them because I knew they couldn't afford it. Each memory was like a tiny light, and as they came, I realized I still cared. Even in this place, something in me still wanted to love, still wanted to do good. That small light didn't drive away the darkness, but it kept me from falling completely into despair. And that's when I felt something I hadn't felt since arriving there, a presence. It was faint at first, but it was pure, and it cut through the blackness like a breath of fresh air. That presence grew stronger, and with it came a warmth I can't fully put into words. It wasn't just heat, it was alive. It touched the deepest part of me, the part that had been frozen in fear, and it began to melt the heaviness inside. I knew without anyone telling me that this presence was holy. It was pure love, yet it carried a power so great that even the darkness seemed to recoil from it. The creatures that had been circling me hissed and shrank back, their burning eyes dimming as if they couldn't bear to look at what was coming. The voices that had been whispering my worthlessness fell silent. For the first time since I had entered that place, I felt noticed. I didn't see a face at first, but I felt Him, Jesus. I can't explain how I knew, but there was no doubt. It wasn't like meeting a stranger, it was like recognizing someone I had always been meant to know. He didn't speak in words, but He revealed to me that He had been there the whole time, even when I didn't believe in Him, even when I ignored every sign of His love. He showed me moments in my life where His hand had guided me away from danger, where He had whispered to my heart, urging me toward kindness. I realized then that those small acts of love I had remembered were not just my doing, they were moments where His light had quietly touched my life. I wanted to fall to my knees, but in that place I had no strength. Instead, I simply let my heart speak. I told Him I didn't deserve to be saved, but I asked Him, begged Him, to remember me. Not to pull me out just because I was afraid, but because I wanted to belong to Him. I wanted to know Him. The moment that silent prayer reached Him, everything changed. The darkness around me shattered like glass. A light poured in, brighter than the sun, yet gentle on my soul. It wrapped around me, lifting me out of the pit. The cries and the fire faded behind me, replaced by the sound of peace, like the soft rush of water. As He carried me, He showed me something, that His mercy wasn't bound by where I had been or what I had done. Even in the deepest hell, His love could reach, and no soul was beyond His grasp if they would turn to Him. I wept, not from fear anymore, but from the overwhelming realization that I was loved beyond measure. And then I saw where He was taking me. The light carried me upward until the darkness was completely gone. Ahead, I saw a horizon unlike anything I had ever seen on earth, colors that seemed alive, air that felt like it breathed with you, and a peace so deep it sank into every part of me. I wasn't just looking at beauty, I was standing inside of it. There was no pain here. No fear. The heavy weight I had felt in that pit was gone, replaced by a sense of being fully known and still fully loved. I could feel the presence of others, souls that had been redeemed, but my eyes stayed fixed on Him. Jesus revealed to me that my time on earth wasn't over yet. He showed me my life like a river still flowing forward, not yet reaching its end. And then he let me understand why I had been given this experience. Not to frighten, but to awaken. He told me that people live every day as though eternity is far away, when in truth, it is only a breath away. I wanted to stay in his presence forever, but I knew I had to go back. There was still something he wanted me to do, to tell others the truth, to let them know that hell is real, but so is his mercy. And that mercy is greater. The next thing I knew, I was opening my eyes on the ground where I had collapsed. The pain in my chest was still there, but it didn't matter. I had been somewhere far beyond this world, and nothing would ever be the same. Since that day, I've told my story to anyone willing to listen. Not everyone believes me, and that's all right. I didn't believe either until I saw it with my own eyes. But I tell it because I know there are people who are standing at the edge of choices that will shape their eternity, and maybe my words will help them turn toward the one who saved me. If you're hearing this now, please understand, it's never too late. No matter where you've been, no matter what you've done, Jesus can reach you. Even in the darkest pit, his light is stronger. I'm living proof of that. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched your heart, I'd love for you to subscribe so you can join me for more testimonies of hope, faith, and the boundless love of God. We're all on this journey together, and I'd be honored to walk it with you.